Transactional analysis is a model to describe communication. This model can also be used to find sources for conflicts and to give us hints how to solve or how to avoid these conflicts. Whenever we speak to someone, we use one of many ego states. These are like mental programs we have internalized. We can speak from the ego state of a parent. That is based on what we are taught. We can speak from the ego state of an adult. That is based on what we think. And we can speak from the ego state of a child. That is based on what we feel. How we say something with our body language is just as important as what we say. Non-verbal communication, like voice, mimic, gestures, posture, touch and proximity, characterize these ego states. There are certain varieties of ego states. The parent comes either as the nurturing parent or as the controlling parent. The adult just comes in one variety, and the child comes in 3 varieties: the rebellious child, the genius child, and the adapted child. Everyone can use all ego states, and for some situations we might have personal preferences. Let's look at some examples. Parent to child. We have an agent that speaks to the respondent from the ego state of a parent to the ego state of a child. Put on a scarf, my dear. It's really cold outside. The respondent answers from the ego state of the child to the ego state of the parent. Mom, don't tell me what to wear. So altogether, this makes up a transaction. Put on a scarf, my dear. It's really cold outside. Mom, don't tell me what to wear. This is a parallel transaction. Let's look at a second example, child to parent. The agent speaks from the ego state of a child to the ego state of a parent. Guess what I just heard about Lee? And the respondent answers from the ego state of the parent to the ego state of the child. I don't want to hear any rumors, please. Altogether, these two make up a transaction. Guess what I just heard about Lee? I don't want to hear any rumors, please. This is also a parallel transaction. And let's now look at adult to adult. The agent speaks from the ego state of the adult and addresses in the respondent also the ego state of an adult. I'm not sure how this works. And the respondent answers from the ego state of the adult to the ego state of the adult. Okay, I'll explain it step by step. So altogether, this makes up the following transaction. I'm not sure how this works. Okay, I'll explain it step by step. And this is again a parallel transaction. Whenever we speak, we make offers to our respondents. By talking to someone, the agent offers an ego state to the respondent that he or she can take from child to parent, from parent to child, or from adult to adult. Parallel transactions. In all 3 examples, the respondent has accepted the ego state that he or she was offered. Now let's look at a different kind of transactions. Parent to child. The speaker, the agent, talks from the ego state of a parent and offers the respondent the ego state of the child. Put on a scarf, my dear. It's really cold outside. But this time the answer comes different. From the ego state of an adult to the ego state of an adult. You remind me of my mother. So in combination, put on a scarf, my dear. It's really cold outside. You remind me of my mother. And this is a crossed transaction. Child to parent, and again child to parent. The agent speaks from the ego state of the child and addresses the ego state of the parent. Guess what I just heard about Lee? And this time, the respondent also speaks from the ego state of a child and addresses the ego state of the parent. Oh, about Lee? I'm really curious. So this is in combination. Guess what I just heard about Lee? Oh, about Lee, I'm really curious. And again, this is a cross-transaction. Adult to adult and child to parent. From adult to the adult, I'm not sure how this works. And this time the answer is different. Maybe this is just a fake. In combination, I'm not sure how this works. Maybe this is just a fake. This is also a crossed transaction. So altogether, cross transactions. In all three examples, the respondent has not accepted the ego state he or she was offered, but used another ego state. There are some transactions that don't exist. There is no parent to parent, no adult to parent or adult to child, and no child to child. In the following scenes from movies, you can learn to distinguish between the ego states by watching scenes from movies you might already know. The nurturing parent. We see Professor Dumbledore, played by Richard Harris, in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. We can see Professor Snape, played by Alan Rickman, in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. The adult. You will see Captain Janeway, played by Kate Mulgrew, in Star Trek Voyager, Season 1, Episode 1. You'll see the genius child, Anjali, played by Kajol, in Kabhi Khushi Kabhie Gham. The rebellious child is played by Stephen Hawking. The actor is Eddie Redmayne in The Theory of Everything. The adapted child is played by Éowyn. The actress is Miranda Otto in Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. Voice, mimic and gestures help to distinguish the ego states. The nurturing parent is characterized by a caring voice with a warm melody, and in case of a well-meant warning, it could also have a worried tone. The nurturing parent offers closeness, seeks eye contact, and the speaker turns or bends towards the respondent or gently touches the arm of the respondent. The controlling parent has a stern, strict, harsh or aggressive voice, a condescending tone, a raised index finger, lifted eyebrows, a frowning face, and if touch is used, it will be strong and abrupt. The adult has a moderate melody, a moderate pressure, and a moderate expression of emotions. There are polite pointing gestures, there's no obvious or remarkable tension, and touch is rare. The respondent's space will be respected. The rebellious child is to be seen with a higher pressure in the voice, raised or angry voice. Foot stamping or throwing things are very typical for the rebellious child, pouting lips, and sometimes a turn away from the listener, and touch can be pushing the other away. The genius child has a vivid melody with bright, shining eyes and intense eye contact, a smile or an expectant look, rich gestures, and the genius child turns towards the respondent. Touch is an enthusiastic grip or pat. The adapted child is rather quiet or careful, shows moderate body motions, no movements that could look aggressive, and appears emotionless or with a soothing melody. Sometimes there's an averted look or looking down. Touch can be avoided out of fear or is offered very carefully. With these details, look at the transaction examples again and listen to the difference between the respondents. Put on a scarf, my dear. It's really cold outside. Mom, don't tell me what to wear. Put on a scarf, my dear. It's really cold outside. You remind me of my mother. Guess what I just heard about Lee? I don't want to hear any rumors, please. Guess what I just heard about Lee? Oh, about Lee? I'm really curious. I'm not sure how this works. Okay, I'll explain it step by step. I'm not sure how this works. Maybe this is just a fake. Recognize conflicts or potential conflicts. Conflicts can show up if the agent uses an ego state that the respondent doesn't feel comfortable with. For instance, the condescending voice. I treat you like a naughty child. That's very provocative for some people. Or just the other way around, the adapted child. Would you please take responsibility for me? This is the kind of voice you hear from people who constantly act as if they were victims. Conflicts can also arise and show up if the respondent chooses an ego state that the agent hasn't expected. For instance, the adult. No matter how much you provoke me, I'll stay calm. So, this is transactional analysis. Find your own examples in daily life where you recognize the various ego states.